People say horror movies need to be rated R to really be scary, to get all the blood and gore in there. But believe me when I say, PG-13 horror movies can be pretty scary too. And I speak from experience. I've seen a lot of R-rated horror movies and a lot of PG-13 ones. And I can confidently say that PG-13 horror movies can be so creepy. So today I'm going to be ranking my top 5 PG-13 horror movies. And full disclosure, I've not seen these horror movies. I know they're considered to be pretty scary and creepy. I can't judge them until I've seen them, so they will not be in this list. Coming in at number 5, we have Split. This is actually the second movie in M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable trilogy, and it's about a man named Kevin Wendell Crumb with dissociative identity disorder. Basically what it means is people who have this disorder essentially share a body with other people. In most cases, people have 3 to 5 personalities, 3 to 5 different people essentially trapped in them, but this guy has 24. Most of the personalities are good, they're really good people. But then there are some that worship this mysterious creature called the Beast, which they believe is essentially Kevin's true potential. The Beast is a dangerous and cannibalistic personality that lives deep within him, and James McAvoy delivers a terrifying performance. Trust me, you do not want to miss out on this absolutely horrifying movie. Coming in at number 4 is Horror in the High Desert. I've gotta say, if you're a fan of the Blair Witch Project, which I personally haven't seen but I've heard is good, then you're gonna love this movie. It's done in the style of a documentary, and it's a found footage horror movie. There are actually 2 of them. And the first one focuses on the disappearance of Gary Hinge. And this is actually loosely based on true events. It's based on a YouTuber who went disappearing in a mysterious M-shaped cave. And you might think everything leading up to the end is just a normal documentary with some slightly disturbing criminal elements in it. But then you reach the end. And I'm not spoiling anything because you have to see it for yourself. That's where the found footage part of the movie comes into play. And it leaves you scratching your head wondering what the heck just happened. And it also just scared the crap out of me. And the second one has even more found footage throughout the movie, and might be even creepier than the first one. And there is a third one on the way. Coming in at number 3 is Insidious. I mean, how could we not mention this absolute masterpiece of a movie featuring a Darth Maul Muppet? Despite me saying Darth Maul Muppet, the demon is actually pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. This stemmed a franchise with some really good movies, but all in all, the first one was so creepy, and it managed to be scary while maintaining that PG-13 rating, and I'm impressed. There are lots of jump scares, but they're actually done really well. There are demons, there's this whole other world, and it is creepy as heck. Coming in at number 2 is Lights Out. Now, this movie is so creepy. So the entity in this movie, I'm not gonna lie, looks a lot like Samara Morgan. And I'm not gonna spoil her backstory because that's part of the plot. Basically, she has a very disturbed past. The movie revolves around this entity that can only come out when the lights are out. So when the lights are on, the entity isn't anywhere to be found and it can't harm you. But when the lights are out, it can kill you, man. And let me tell you, it will. The entity is brutal for a PG-13 movie. There's so many creepy scenes, and the sounds it makes, and the way it occasionally carves messages onto the floor. And even the way it moves, you can tell it has a human form. You can tell it has once been human but has now been corrupted beyond repair. And there are rumors of a second one in the works. Before we get to number 1 of our list, I want to mention some honorable mentions. These are in no specific order because I couldn't decide where they rank. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a classic comedy horror movie, which I always laugh at. Signs, an M. Night Shyamalan alien horror movie, which does the whole alien invasion thing really well. And my last honorable mention is a Stephen King movie called Mr. Harrigan's Phone. This is a movie about a kid who gets a phone from this old man who he's really close friends with called Mr. Harrigan. And after Mr. Harrigan dies, the kid receives some strange signs from the beyond that his spirit might still be with him. But believe me, you learn that Mr. Harrigan, maybe he wasn't such a good guy. Now, let's get into number 1. I've gotta give number 1 to this movie just because I love slashers so much. I mean, that's my main deal right here. And this slasher is like if Scream met Groundhog Day, you know it, Happy Death Day. This movie was so much fun, and it had quite the unexpected killer reveal. I really liked the whole aspect of the Groundhog Day mixed with the slasher and whodunit genre. It was done really well, and the main character was also pretty funny. There are a lot of red herrings, a lot of misdirects, and I honestly had no idea who the killer was gonna be. And there's so many times when you thought that they'd won, that they'd caught the killer, but then they didn't. The movie wasn't over because they didn't catch the killer. And there's some pretty good kills in there too for a PG-13 horror movie. This is my favorite PG-13 horror movie, and it probably always will be. So, what are your top 5 PG-13 horror movies? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and until next time, toodles!